Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to a nice panel discussion we lined up today. It's all about Catena-X and how do we bridge the data silos globally with a very international specific flavor. And I'd like to introduce myself first. My name is Hort. I'm running the automotive business in T-Systems, and you can expect today a walkthrough through the current situation and essentials about Catena-X, and then also some international aspects and also some very interesting questions. And before we start, I'd like to introduce the panel. So we have Jean-Baptiste. Jean-Baptiste Burtscher is working with Valeo right now. He represents France, and he's working in corporate development as heading the sustainability activities and also working on the internationalization of Catena-X in a special working group. So thank you for being here, Jean-Baptiste.
Thank you for the invitation.
Then we have Diego Mallada. Diego Mallada is a prospect for becoming a member of Catena-X, so be very kind to him today. Diego runs the IT department of Gestamp. Gestamp is a very big tier one in Spain, so you will see some Spanish flavor added by Diego. So and then we have Andre. Andre Kremer works with Ford, so Andre has a really difficult role because he's representing Germany and the US, of course. So we want to hear a strong opinion about your mothership from the US. And Andre is heading the IT sourcing department, is heading the Catena-X project within Ford. So welcome, Andre. Thank you. And we have Oliver. So Oliver is the head is the chairman of the board of the Catena-X association and is heading the consortium of the Catena-X work. So he knows everything about Catena-X, so don't hesitate to ask him really difficult questions. So, and as I have said that, I want to start with a short question to pave the way for the further questions. I want to ask Oliver. So Oliver, please tell us what's so specific about Catena-X and why we need Catena-X.
So thank you for the kind introduction, and if Andre has the most special and difficult role, as you said, I have maybe the most political role, if you would like to translate it to your question. I think for us as Catena, it's the first time not just OEMs or first tier join forces. In Catena, we bring everyone to the table, from a first tier to an OEM, to a second tier, to an outfitter, to small and medium enterprises. We say when we would like to create a data space, like to work on a common mutual understanding, it couldn't be more political because we have left, right, up and down. We have all sorts of people that represent the ecosystem in one space. And I think this is the uniqueness. If we achieve really that everybody gets something out of it at the same time, this is when data economy becomes real. And so far, I must say, it is a pleasure. Sure, there are ups and downs like in a marriage, but at the end, you are something together that is more than just an individual. Because you can get information, you can get access to technology, you can get a better process if we join the forces. And that works beautifully right now.
Yeah, thank you. And I think in order to make this happen, we need a lot. We need consultants to prepare us as companies. We need tech providers, but also integrators who help us to put all this wonderful technology together. And I think there's one key aspect of this technology. Nowadays, we are just connecting tier one, and that's it. And with one core product, we call it the EDC, Eclipse Data Connector. We will connect all the players of the supply chain holistically in the entire supply chain. And that's the big advantage we will achieve with Catena-X, and that's
Correct you. Not supply chain, value chain.
Value chain. You see, he's tough on me, and thank you for educating me. But that's the key technology aspect. But I am very interested to understand from an international perspective. So, what are your requests towards Catena-X? What are your demands? Maybe Jean-Baptiste, you want to kick it off with the French view?
Yes, for sure. Thank you. So, very basically, Catena-X has been started by our customers, our German customers. So we're very happy to join that and to as tier one supplier. And this brings me to the second point, is just making a step back. We are in a moment where we are at the tipping point of big transformation of our industry. We're speaking about automation, connectivity, electrification. We've made major investment at Valeo recently on that, also taking over our JV with Siemens in Germany for high voltage. And when you say that, and when you look at the panorama of the customer that you have, you're serving different customers, you're serving different needs, and at the end of the day, you have common things, and you want to share data, you want to secure the one, you transfer the data, and you want to make it simple. And at the moment you're investing, having something that is also a possibility to be cost competitive, and that big issue of how as a supplier you deliver products and all the what's going with that, Catena-X for us is really seen as a big opportunity to work on that. And the reason also then we have taken that responsibility over to push that in France is that we're not willing to do that alone. So obviously we have suppliers, or we're working with suppliers, sub-suppliers in France that we want to embark in that venture. And also, and recently Stellantis has joined as well Catena. I mean, we're seeing the movement of bringing more customers, so I'm giving a French example, but there are others, to see how well we can mutual forces and create really a valid ecosystem for all of us.
Very good. Do you have a specific request for the Catena-X team from a French view?
I mean, we're have a discussion, and Oliver is joining all of them.
Just be open, it's amongst us.
With the big French players on that. So I would say, no, we are thrilled to, after having really set the scene of how this should work, really go and work and accelerate on deploying the use cases. But I think this is what everybody is willing to do in Catena.
Maybe if I add to that, if you allow, I think it's important to get identity, that it's not the German or 3 or 4 people rule. And I think this is one thing in internationalization, what we discussed that before. We have to make sure that the French market and the French partners say, this is my Catena element, and maybe also from Spain or the others. We have to bring it apart, that it's not just a central approach, but that we also live the decentralization in ownership, right? And that everybody has an ownership and a stake in it. And I think this is something what we're discussing right now and blueprinting with the French market.
So very good, thank you. So I continue to go down the line, Diego.
Okay.
Now the Spanish views, or what are your specific views and requests to the Catena-X part from your side?
Okay, well, Gestam is a big company that we have plants in more than 20 countries. So we started some years ago building this kind of smart factory, Industry 4.0 strategy, and we were building this kind of Industry 4.0 projects, no, with IoT, with big data, data lakes. This morning we were talking in the Metaverse meeting about all these technical things. But this, I think we have always a next step challenge, no? Is how we exchange data. We are in the middle of the supply chain. We have already some projects, and we created some applications, like we have one specific one that is the digital quality certificate, that we exchange real-time data with some specific clients, but we need to, as Oliver explained, we need to standardize that. We need to create something that we can plug and play everywhere, no? Because we have plants in many countries. But always, my point is that when I talk about that with the plants, we are always talking about data sovereignty that you mentioned before, or the trust, or cybersecurity, no? That are the big challenges also in the industrial ecosystem. So I will say that Catena, from my point of view, and what I understood, is what we need to complete the picture, no? with this kind of the data space and how we exchange data, and we need to translate and explain the plants these concepts, no? Because when we talk this morning about, we were talking about Metaverse, I go to a plant that is in Metaverse and say, good, this is not for me. So this is what we need to do, this effort, yeah.
Very good. Any response from your side, Oliver, from the...
I hope I could convince him this morning. So. No, but I think it's really about, do people see their position or their potential in a data space? If it's Catena or another data space, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. For us as an industry, we believe in sharing a service mutually. It doesn't make sense that it's a BMW data space or Mercedes or Valeo or Gestam, Ford. If everybody has a data space, it's actually very small, because we do not cover a lot. We cover as an OEM a first tier, but we cannot go down. If we really want to go far, and then that's a good saying, right? If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And I think this is something what we believe right now, and not just in Europe, we believe also, and this is the segue to Andre in a second, our value chains do not stop at the border of Portugal or in Poland, right? They spin around the world. So we have to find the ways that also other regions and nations find identity. This is my Catena. It's not the German thing. It is Catena in France, and it's my identity. And the technology, as you mentioned, I think with the standards, you can really say, if you have an API, if a clear standard or another element, everybody can take it and utilize it for themselves. And that's the beauty, and it still works together.
Very good, very good. And I think the word came up already, OEM. So let's hear, Andre, from an OEM perspective, how you see the internationalization. I would be keen to understand that.
I would like then to see from different why we see that Catena is important. And if you're looking to the pandemic times and what we had, that we are facing the automotive industry or the industry in general, facing then now various challenges. Now, if you're looking on the upcoming legislation, CO2 compliance in the future, if you're looking on, if you have quality issues through the supply chain, the first one which I get the information then here is, if you have an issue, just today I had it then here, what is then, we have issues to get CO2 gas for welding. Just in looking to Diego then here is, and what we start then here, our departments in here, to call them to the supplier, exchanging emails and then asking your sub-supplier if you have an issue. And we have always this, since 3 years, the risk of the interruption of the supply chain, and that is where we are coming from. Say, if I heard them the first time last year from Catena-X, and here is the visualization of the value chain, the complete chain, then to identify risk and use then the information for the new challenges then here. And that is also why we are getting in contact with our headquarters in US, and here they're working of course on similar topics, but always down to a site or plant level. They are never be able then to go down in the details what we require. And here what Catena-X is offering, and the risk, I think Diego mentioned this one, is always, if we're discussing with our suppliers, is trust. How we can ensure that if we exchange then the data, that we will just use it then where it's for, and it's always with trust. I guess Catena-X will only be successful if we have a trustworthy environment between the partners.
Absolutely. Please allow me to just pick up on a few statements I heard. So first of all, Jean-Baptiste, you said there's some pressure from the large OEMs. I mean, in your country you have also very large OEMs. I also heard from Diego. It was just a very short part, but it raised my interest. Plug and play. So that's a thought we all should keep in mind, how to accelerate the scaling of the technology and also getting the network really large. And transparency. So keeping those three elements in mind, I formulate a difficult question to Oliver. Oliver, please explain us a little bit, how do you foresee the scaling globally? Because we are automotive value chain, which is globally very present. Thank you. And just give us a little bit, what's down the road, what you can see for the internationalization part, some insights. That would be really kind.
Sure. So I think what you guys mentioned, it's all about standards and plug and play, right? I think this is something where, as an OEM, was the first here, if one company would say this is the standard, who of you would trust that? No one. So we need a trust body. So we use the Gaia-X and IDSA as a neutral trust body to say, if this is working, then we are the use case, and they say this is a trustworthy network, that none of the participants can actually get data they should not get, right? So that's the first one, or can corrupt the network. From a scalability point of view, I think with Gaia-X in mind and having the European Union, that helps us right now, despite we have a crisis right now, but the crisis also helps us right now to sit together and says, hey, what unites us actually? Not to fight what does France want from Germany and Germany from Spain, what unites us? And this is the common value, what we have. So I think scaling across Germany into Europe, I think we're doing actually a good job with the, for example, internationalization hubs in France. We were thinking about Poland and others. So I think this is working well. So the question is now, how do we use Andre to go to to North America? But there are also other American partners, so we will not put the pressure on you.
No.
But the point is for us, how do we scale there? Because many companies, if it's Gestamp or BMW or Ford or Volkswagen, we all have locations abroad, right? Or Vallejo, everybody has local global footprints. For us, we're discussing right now, for example, with Asian partners to say, okay, how do we get to Asia? We visited Asian partners, the JAMA, which is the equivalent to the VDA, and others, say, how can we build trust for them to say, okay, you want a data space? Sure, we do too. If you have a data space, it's a local one. We do want, you have the same problems as we do, you also have better regulations, how do you make it open? So we're building right now via the association of Catena-X a lot of memorandum of understandings and cooperation agreements with other countries, with other organizations to build trust. And on a deeper level, we go, for example, for product carbon footprint for CO2. We have with the WBCSD, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is not just the automotive industry, but also the others say, if you want to scale CO2, we have to build trust globally with organizations that say, this is the real and good calculation how to come up with a CO2 value. And this is spinning globally. So we not Catena alone knocks on every single door in the world says, please open it to Catena. But we use organizations that are already present and say, hey, what you have, we can enrich what you do, and we can actually complement the offering and scale. So you bring this to the table, you have a global PCF calculation that works, we bring an IT environment that can utilize that. So this is the approach, and I think we will go for sure. Asia is a major target for us to open it up because we have Asian partners, but also the US market, I think, from a rollout perspective beyond Europe, key elements and markets to go. And then depending on where everyone has their value chain, if you go to South America for mining companies, minerals, right, or specific elements like cobalt or lithium, you have to go to places like there. And then, but this is not in Catena's role anymore than to knock on every single door. Then the market says, okay, we have to go to country A or B.
So that's I mean, you kind of walked us around the globe with the automotive hotspots where we have the issues, right? You said the lithium part, you said also, you didn't mention the raw earth discussion, but this is in the same corner. And let's stay a little bit on that international perspective right now. And I want to give it back to Andre in terms of, I mean, Oliver was asking, you know, you should elaborate on the yes, but what would be your, how should I formulate it, your requests or your wishes or even your clear demands to the Catena-X consortium or the association, how to drive this internationalization further?
Then one is then, of course, use then the, like us, the partners then to promote then Catena-X in the countries, use then the organizations, US, I recommend then always then to go then to the AIG, this is the VDA of the US then here, because most of the OEMs, even the BMW is part of it, and the suppliers are members of it, and they have also then the, let's say then the background, the networking then here, to promote then Catena-X in at least into the automotive markets then here. And I guess what is also important is for the experience what we made then is I think now it's a very good standard then here with Catena-X as a standard. If you want to go for special software, you have to working according to the standards and not deviate from the standards. If then the global rollout will come, and that is always a risk, that for we do a here deviation, we do a here a little bit deviation, then here I guess that it should be avoided then here.
Just a quick question back, do you feel resistance when you're talking to these other associations, or are they welcoming you with
it's
both arms?
Definitely is resistant, but resistance that is, I think we had it then here, that we need a trustworthy environment, because if you are going into discussion, exchange of data, then everyone say,
not mine.
It's, I guess the discussion what we have in Europe, or even then if everybody is then at least then part of Catena-X and understand what is then the background and what is our aim, what we would like to achieve together. Yeah, I think that is what we have to convince, and the other partners. Maybe in the US it's easier than in Asia. Not sure, but I think we were facing always, and the issue regarding trust, exchange of data is I call it always a holy cow for the companies. Especially if OEMs are going then to the Valeos or get some, I want to have some information then here because we need it. And the question coming up, what?
If I make a comment here on the work we have been doing in the internationalization working group and developing what we will call hubs. So the fact that you have a kind of smaller Catena-X at local level that is, and everything is bridging together to create a scale effect. And it's coming back also to what said Oliver, is really creating the connection for having a win-win situation. And the way we have created these different steps of creating hubs is also related to that, with the fact that at a different moment we're making a step back and saying we all together, we agree with the fact of what we're doing. So the reason why you were mentioning memorandum of understanding that are signed where you align on the objective, the goals, and then we have created also test phases where we will test how concretely we work when sharing data. I mean, is it really secure? Can I access easily? Can my supplier access to the portal and whatever? And so this is really designed since the beginning in what we're willing to scale up now, so that indeed we create win-win situation, and it's really an open system where everyone is creating value.
Very good. So thank you both, and it has been said a lot already. So would you like to add from your view?
Oof, difficult. They have commented a lot of things. No, I will just add, and it's also based on my experience. No, when we are building software in Gestam for factories, we work in this agile approach, and we deliver every 2 weeks a new release. But we spend months on the adoption phase. We spend months working with them, trying to translate things, understanding where the problems. So this we name that adoption phase, and it's very important. And also following with your comment about this win-win, it's also important to find new business models. We are talking about data spaces, so it's not only about what is the API or whatever concept that I'm going to exchange. No, it's also okay. Maybe we can work together and create a new algorithm, a new whatever thing that because it's not only about sending data; it's also about other things. Yes.
Very good, very good. So I mean, I ask a lot of questions, so I want also take the moment to give you the opportunity, the audience, if you want to have an answer or if you want to address a specific question, open up. It's the moment now, so please. Yeah, we have a voice here.
Tobias from Daimler Truck. I'm a little bit of a rookie concerning Catena-X, so please allow me the question. Where do you see common goals and differences with things like, for instance, the European data space? Where is overlap with the goals? Where are differences, and where also can be interfaces of these two in future?
I cannot answer the question. You turn around with 160 degrees from your colleague from Mercedes, who's the enterprise architect from but
I came just here to be allowed to talk to her because it's an official thing.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, but I think what Europe would like to create, and if you look at Gaia-X has an interest in building an infrastructure environment and a data space environment. For Catena, we very much focus on the data space, right? If Europe always, and I was last week on a big presentation where we are working against hyperscaler A or B or C, this is not Catena. We don't care, we're pretty much agnostic if you are having your data or your models or whatever you do on AWS, Google, OVH, T-Systems, Google Cloud, or IONOS, we don't care. We make it agnostic. So this is, however, the big fight that is in Europe, to have an own data space. And they call a data space pretty much a data center. That's my basic thing. And that's not Catena. Catena is very much focusing on the upper side of the X, where we say Europe also would like to create data spaces for the industry. And it says energy, there's manufacturing X, there's aerospace, there's many more like Catena. And the thing will be then where if everybody creates their data space, the big thing is we now, within a data space, people are able to work together. But now we have an energy space and we have an automotive space. Eventually, if you add one and one together with electricity coming more into the vehicles, they would like to talk to each other as well. So how do we make sure now that data spaces are also interoperable and can work together? And that's something that there's been a new project by the European Union, the Data Space Center, because we have everything we have a solution for, right? Not we, but the European Union, the Data Space Support Center that should harmonize all those data spaces. So what's the difference? In a nutshell, again, one is a data center. We don't care. We're agnostic at Catena. We are very much focused on data spaces where we exchange data on middleware and up with applications, etc. And I hope that answers your question. If not, 160 degrees to the left. Okay, so you connect, so my answer was insufficient, okay.
Yeah, thank you, Oliver. Maybe we have time for one more question, please.
Alex from UW. My question would be towards the suppliers, more or less Diego and Jean-Baptiste. I think when you hear or listen to Oliver and the vision, I think it's quite easy to buy in, right, on that high level. Not saying that it actually is easy to bring the vision to all the markets out there, but I was wondering how hard is it within your organizations then to convince people actually translating this into operational efforts, first of all, and what would support you down the road to get you there even faster?
Okay, well, I can give you my feedback. Well, in Gestam, as I commented, we have some years on this smart factory concept and creating this Industry 4.0 applications. And one of the main challenges that we have, not from today, I mean some years ago, is how we exchange data with the plants, between plants and with clients. So here is maybe not the main discussion is not about the technical thing. If we say, okay, this is the standard, this is the connector, blah, blah. It's more about what I mentioned about the business models. Okay, this is just a point of sending data, or is a point of, we commented the bidirectional, no? Is, okay, and this is the part where maybe we need to make this workshop with them and this adoption phase, no? To work together and, no? And to work together and to find, no? Because it's not only that, like before, like I just send the data to you and finish, no? This is pretty much, yes.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much, and thank you also for attending and your lively questions and the lively discussions. Thank you for coming over from all the different directions. I think, if we summarize it, I mean, we walked basically through almost everything, fast, precise. We started with the foundations of why is Catena-X so important, and I mean, let's easily conclude already there. That's probably the hottest technology, the hottest endeavor, the hottest cultural effort we are all in the automotive industry, and it needs a lot more to scale it globally. And we have key players pushing it, and I think, Diego, you want to join? Yeah? So now it's official. Thank you, Diego, for that part. And I'd like to thank you all for coming, and let's close the section. I hope we can continue the discussion over drinks and food in the room. I'm really looking forward for further exchange, and give a big hand to the audience.